And we are live with our final of the WCWnWo Thunder US Heavyweight Title Tournament. We're down to 16, so I figured I'd get it all in here tonight. I'm going to be doing some stuff. I'll be on mic on some, and then I'll be typing on the others. So I'm going to do a little bit of both. Try to establish a night to do my streams. So we're going to get into it. We're going to, of course, we have 16 left. Got a couple of wackies, a couple of Nitro girls, a couple of NWO Hollywood members, a couple of horsemen, an Inland developer, a THQ developer, and the rest are WCW wrestlers and a WCW announcer. So we're going to get into it. Yes, there's going to be rants. Because there's only 4 left, so I'm going to show those rants as we go. But let's get into our first of our round of 16, and it will be WCW versus NWO. As it will feature Glacier from WCW taking on an NWO Hollywood member, and he's got a rant.
Pick me, or I'll stick your head through the mat, you pencil neck geek!
And so, Brian Adams will shake him on. The rest of our matches that we have in this round of 16 will include Steve Mongo McMichael against Tigress. So it'll be a Horseman versus a Nitro Girl. Kurt Hennig versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. WCW Cruiserweight versus NWO Hollywood. Dean Malenko of the Horsemen versus Crush Death, the Wacky. The one normal match of this tournament, Eddie Guerrero and Kaz Hayashi. You'll know the history between those two going back to round number 1. When Eddie helped Kaz advance. Now one of them is going to the round of 8. Lee Marshall, the WCW announcer, takes on the lone THQ rep Jim Kelly, who's also the only one who's got a tag team partner in the form of Dave Hoffman. We're looking for tag team still. And then we also have Che from the Nitro Girls against Stingray from Inland. And Alex Wright will take on the other wacky in Bobby. We're going to try to get it all in here. We will crown our champion. We'll crown our champion here. Vic Finley, Booker T, and Wrath are right now the top candidates for Glacier as tag team partners. If any of them do a run, we'll have a tag team. And whatever tag teams are established all go to THQ. So far we've got 5 tag teams established. Sanders, Keel, Layla, and Ma. The aforementioned Jim Kelly and Dave Hoffman. John Ardell and Don Nauert. Sick Boy and Raven. And Sergeant and Starfish. Brian Adams has done a run-in for Eric Bischoff. That's right now the top candidate to get a partner, even though he's had a couple of run-ins himself. Brian's got a couple of run-ins to happen himself, and same to be said for Glacier. I will have a established date for streaming. I'm working on it. I have some. Right now, the top candidate is probably going to be Tuesdays, and I'll probably be streaming if you're watching on Twitch. The VODs will, of course, be up a week later to YouTube, I should say, go to YouTube. I haven't gotten to affiliate status yet. If I can get affiliate status, that will mean I can get I think I get a longer time of VODs being on Twitch. But I need to meet a couple more goals that I would like if we can get some more followers, share WrestleSim, you know, spread the word, bring some folks over here, and we can be able to grow this channel. And of course the final round will be a 10-minute time limit with a 60-second ring out, just like we did with the world title. Granted, we should be able to have, that should be able to make every bit of that time count and not be like what we saw in the world title when Field basically ran right over Conan and won the title. Like, why did I even bother switching the things? It wouldn't have mattered. Glacier right now having the edge on Adams. We might get a run in at some point. We'll see. Also, we got one more tournament coming up. It will be the TV title tournament. I'm planning on starting that on the next stream. And it will probably be just the same as we have here. Veal, 5 o'clock Tony will be omitted, and so whoever will be the champion of here will also be off that. So there'll be a 3 buys going into round number 1. Glacier gets it. That leaves us down to one NWO Hollywood member remaining, and that being Curt Hennig. Time for match number 2. Steve Mongo McMichael of the Horsemen right now has a chance to get himself a tag team partner in due time. And he will take on the Nitro Girl of Tigress. Tigress has done run-ins for Glacier and Jimmy Hart and Prince Iaukea. Maybe some potential partners will be established there. And McMichael's done a run-in for Chris Benoit. So if we get Chris Benoit, it'll be a tag team partner established, and that'll mean the Horsemen will have themselves an entry in the tag team title tournament. Also, with all these round of 16 matches, pretty much everything is fresh matches. There's no rematches of any capacity. We saw a lot of it in the previous rounds where we would get a rematch, whether it be from the World Heavyweight Title Tournament or from the Melee Tournament. So far we haven't got it. There might be a chance we might get ourselves a rematch, but it's going to take some things to happen. The chances of that are, I never really got a chance to look into the possibilities, because that was not something I was dealing with at this time. I will say there's only one match in this round that's considered a normal match, and that's actually Eddie Guerrero and Kaz Hayashi. Those two actually did have a match on Nitro in March 23rd, 1998. So that's actually the only match that actually happened in real life. These other matches have not. Brian Adams and Glacier have never faced off, nor has Curt Hennig and Chavo Guerrero had a one-on-one match. They were in the World War III Battle Royal, but that doesn't really count. It's like being in the Royal Rumble, doesn't really count. You just happen to be there. And at least in World War III, they're all in the same ring at the same time anyway. It's not like a case of timing, where just, oh, one's in and one's later. Yeah, I got a couple of dropouts earlier. I just noticed that. You know, right now I'm trying to pick the time to do this and see how we go from there. So, hopefully, with no battles or anything like that. I mean, had some weather earlier, so hopefully we won't have that plague us here in the internet. Tigress is in trouble.
The Frankensteiner! Taking a beating. One. Big takedown. Mongo's putting the hood on. One, two, three.
Pinfall McMichael winning. Horsemen staying alive. Nitro Girls are now only down to Che. Match 3, and we got a rant from the other NWO Hollywood member.
There can't be any doubt in anybody's mind that I'm the man to pick. Not only because I'm in the NWO, because I'm Kurt Hennig. And nobody beats Kurt Hennig. Nobody.
And he will take on Chavo, and this is also will have FMB entrances. Chavo's done a run in for Henning. And Chavo's done a run in for Eddie Guerrero. Kurt Hennig has done a run in for Scott Norton, so there's potential candidates for that. By the way, with Michael winning, there is a chance for a run in for him to still have a tag team partner. We'll see how that plays out in the round of 8. Chavo, the one participant that made it the farthest in the Melee tournament, is here in the round of 16. When Chavo made it to semifinals and lost to Mantis there. Kurt Hennig actually is I do believe, one of the longest, the ones that went the farthest in the World Heavyweight title. So he lost to Randy Savage. Made it to the round of 32. Hennig after beating Rick Steiner in the second round. Unfortunately, not looking good for the Horsemen. I'm not looking for NWO Hollywood because Kurt Hennig is the last competitor in NWO. Hennig getting some taunting, which helps get him back his life. I'm still toying around with the text boxes here. I'm just when I don't have the ability to get on mic, I just need to figure out how to do it so I won't, what the limitations are. So if I know what not to type too much, that won't get cut off on the screen. That's something, maybe someone could help me out on figuring out how you can set like a limit to say, okay, this is how many words are going to be available. As here comes Mike Enos coming in to help out Chavo. This is the first time we're seeing Enos in a while here. I don't know if he's got any tag team partners or anything like that, but now he's got Chavo Guerrero. And Vincent coming in for Kurt Hennig. So now NWO's got himself a tag, someone to help out. Get to the third match where we now have run-ins. No finisher attempts yet, I do not believe. I'm amazed that Chavo nor Hennig have hit their moves. Hennig has the Hennigplex, Chavo has a DDT. Chavo, who beat Ric Flair in the last round to get himself here. NWO Hollywood staying alive with Kurt Hennig. Chavo might need to help Eddie Guerrero in a couple of matches, so we'll see how that plays out. As now we go into our other horseman, trying to make it 2 for 2, and he's got a rant.
You think you got what it takes to go head to head, hold for hold, move for move with the Iceman? Well, come on, give it your best chance, and you too can feel a wrap of the Texas Cloverleaf.
And he'll take on the first of the wacky contingents that is still in, and that is Crush Depth. Now, Malenko, if you notice the graphic here, that's actually correct. But I noticed also in Nitro on the 64 and PC, he has a different image for his thumbnail on the screen. Like, his main picture is correct, but his thumbnail picture is probably something from the original Nitro on the PlayStation. I noticed that with him and Booker T. Booker T more so on the PC version of Nitro. On the 64 version, they corrected it. It's something I interestingly point out. Maybe I should, if I can get a screenshot or something like that, I'll pull up the game or something, I can point out that little faux pas. Malenko has not ran in for anybody, but he's had Arn Anderson do a run-in for him. Crush Depth has ran in for Flapper and Cowboy, so there's a little bit more of a chance for a tag team for him. And he's got one wacky tag team so far. Does Crush Depth want to make it 2? But I don't know if you got a count out coming. Up, Malenko gets back in, Crush Depth gets back in, we're still going. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to be booking these shows, especially when I do Nitro Thunder and Saturday night. If I'm going to do definitely Saturday night, and most likely Thunder will be straight up VODs that will just go up pre-recorded. Nitro might be a live one, we'll see. Maybe I could do that on Mondays. That might be a tough one to do. Maybe I'll record it and I'll make it automatically a live VOD on Twitch. But definitely the other ones would be going straight to YouTube. Might make it temporary streaming, but Dean Malenko's going to get the win by countout. So hey, a normal match is going to happen in the round of 8 because Malenko and Curt Hennig are going to be that. Pretty sure those two have had a match or two in have had their share of matches in WCW, especially in 1998 with the NWO versus Horseman deal. And now, speaking of normal matches, we go into our normal match that we talked about that actually happened in 1998 in March, and that is Eddie Guerrero taking on Kaz Hayashi. I realized also the reason why Kaz has the Ultimo Dragon music. Ultimo was kind of, teaming with him at one point, and incidentally enough, in that March match with Eddie, when Eddie and Chavo were attacking Kaz, Ultimo made a save because actually Ultimo beat Chavo on that same episode of Nitro earlier in the night. I was actually going back and looking at that WCW Monday Nitro earlier today, and so there's kind of irony in that. I would normally be going on to Wrestling Data right now to try to find when did Curt Hennig and Dean Malenko actually have a match in 1998 and when, but I can't really do that here on the computer, and I'm finding on the phone might be a little convoluted as well, especially if I have to log into it every time I use it. That site, they say you have to log into it if you want to access any of the stuff. You have to have an account because they try to protect it from, bots or whatever. I don't know why. Cage Match doesn't seem to do that, which I think I was amazed that they haven't had Cage Match. You could just take a wrestler, take their opponents, and you can see how many times those two have faced each other. Eddie Guerrero has only done a run-in for Rocco Rock. Hayashi has done run-ins for Bobby Heenan and Roddy Piper.
Vertical suplex. One.
AC Jazz doing a run-in for Eddie Guerrero. And Sikosis coming in for Kazayashi. And Eddie gets the win here just like he did in 1998. Now it's time for that was actually our only in-fight of the first round, was the WCW guys, with Eddie Guerrero getting the win as Stagger Lee Marshall for the announcers. We'll take on the only one left that has already a tag team in the form of Jim Gilley. We have not established any tag teams yet otherwise besides them. Besides the 5 I've mentioned, we have not got anybody here in this round of 16. So it won't matter who will do a run-in for Jim Gilley. Lee Marshall is another story. Doug Dillinger was Lee Marshall's done a run-in for Doug Dillinger. So there's that. Don't forget, follow me on Blue Sky. You can see the link up on the chat. I put that up. YouTube, same thing. Search WrestleSim. X, search same thing. I don't really post much on X, so. Sargent doing a run-in for Jim Keeley. That's something you're going to see a lot of now when we start adding more folks to THQ, being like that's the, hey, you've had a tag team already established, so you're going to see some weird run-ins. Especially if you get to see some real wrestlers in the group getting run-ins by wackies, which you'll see when we get into the TV title tournament. And then when I start doing my video where I just do a bunch of matches to try to establish tag team partners and speed everything up. Jim Keeley wins by count, neither gets in the ring in time. Wow. So it'll be Eddie Guerrero and Jim Keeley in the round of 8. Sticking on the topic of developers, and there'll be a Nitro Girl in the process too, because we just saw Tigress lose, so the only Nitro Girl left is Che, and she's going to face the only Inland developer left, Stingray. But before I do that, make sure I save just in case certain wrestlers do a run-in, which we had in the last round. We had Jamie the Learned had 5 o'clock Tony do a run-in, and that's something that we have to reset every time we get there. I know Stingray does not want to have 5 o'clock Tony run in for him and create a possible tag team partner. I know in Stingray's case, he wants someone like Dynamite Johnny to do a run-in for him, and they'll establish him as a tag team if he does. Whereas Che would like Tigress to come back after Tigress just lost her match and establish the Nitro Girl tag team. I also am not sure if Glacier or Steve McMichael have faced each other at any point in WCW as well. Maybe I should do at some point, that'd be a project to go through all the wrestlers here in Thunder and see who actually faced who, especially some of the obscure ones. Some of the ones are very easy, but then there are others that's like you'd have to do some digging to find out when certain things happen. Like how I found out that Kaz Hayashi and Eddie Guerrero actually had a match against each other in 1980 on Nitro.
The Frankensteiner! Backbreaker! The Frankensteiner! He kicked out.
Once again, it's Mike Enos. Wow. Cage is dominating dominating Stingray, knocks out our inland developer, and continues the Nitro Girl staying alive with the help of Mike Enos. So, speaking of who's left to go, we've got a WCW guy with a rant.
Hey man, here's Alex Wright, the German. If you want to know what the Germans are about, pick me and you're gonna have a hell of a victory. I promise!
Taking on the last of the wackies still in, and that is Bobby. Now, Bobby could get anybody. He's a weird wacky that his run-ins can be anybody. That it can be a wacky, but it could be a WCW guy. I've seen it happen a few times when I played as him. Like one time you'll get like Manger the Barbarian. Bobby hasn't ran in for anybody, but he's got himself a few run-ins in the form of Hoof-Hearted, Tiffany Payne, and Robot. Alex Wright, on the other hand, did a run-in for Che and Sonny Ono, and La Parca, and Juventud Guerrera. So he's got a few candidates that he can establish as tag team partners. He would like to win here and go on to the round of 8. That's one thing that's more important to him than anything else.
Surprise attack!
Tigress.
The Frankensteiner! Backbreaker! Kick it hot! Vertical suplex!
And the Wackies are out. Time for the round of 8. And everybody's a human being. Glacier from WCW against Horseman number 1, Steve Mongo McMichael. And really the only two non-wrestlers in it that are left are Che as a Nitro Girl and Jim Keeley, a THQ developer. Everybody else is a wrestler. Glacier, Mongo, Hennig, Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Alex Wright.
The Frankensteiner! Vertical suplex!
Also, all 4 of our matches have at least one WCW contingent. Glacier here.
The Frankensteiner!
Actually, I take that back. The only one that doesn't have it is Hennig and Malenko. That's NWO Hollywood versus Horseman. But everybody else is a WCW guy or gal. Glacier, Eddie Guerrero, Alex Wright, and Che, the Nitro Girl.
One. He kicked out.
So that counts 4 WCW contingents with 1 Nitro Girl, 2 Horsemen, an NWO Hollywood member, and a THQ dev. 50-50 chance for WCW to go all the way, with 1 guaranteed in the semifinals in the form of either Alex Wright or Che. One of those two are going to guarantee a WCW contingent in the final 4. I do believe when in the World Heavyweight title he had Psicosis go down to the final 4, and I think the same thing with Larry Zbyszko, who I believe came up short against Veal. I know at some point during the tournament, Larry Zbyszko got a chance to beat Veal and had Jimmy Hart, beat him down, but then Veal came back and there was no stopping him. One thing I can point out, all these matches have been fairly competitive. We haven't seen anybody get completely, other than with the run, and you haven't seen like a complete just wipe the floor with the other, like we saw with Veal. And there were times where Veal looked vulnerable, but the other just couldn't find a way to seal the deal. Happened a few times. Does Mongo call out a Horseman to do a run-in? Or let alone does Glacier do the same? Here comes Dean Malenko. Not even wasting his time. Dean Malenko has got a match coming up. He's saying, you know what, let me get out of here now and let me help Mongo out to maybe increase the possibility of a Horseman being in the finals one way or another. Or at least be in the final 4, I should say. But there's a chance if Malenko wins his match and he can help Mongo win, we can be guaranteed a Horseman in the final in an in-fight.
Vertical suplex. The Frankensteiner.
That also established that McMichael can have a lot of contention, has a good chance of getting, if he could do a run-in for Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, or Dean Malenko, he could establish himself a tag team. As McMichael wins it. One Horseman in the final 4. Now we'll see if we will have another Horseman join him and guarantee a Horseman in the final. But it'll be Curt Hennig who says otherwise from NWO Hollywood against Dean Malenko. That's 2 matches in a row. We got Curt Hennig with FMVs. With Chavo, he got an FMV, and now he's got one against Malenko. And if he can beat Malenko, he'll get another one against McMichael. He'll have an FMV.
Off the turnbuckle. One. He kicked out.
Plus, if you look at it, on this side of the bracket, you have 3 former WCW US Heavyweight Champions. McMichael won the WCW US title in '97. Curt Hennig, who won the title actually from McMichael after Curt joined the NWO. And Dean Malenko, who was actually they were all US champions in 1997 because Dean Malenko won the belt from Eddie Guerrero earlier that year in spring of '97. McMichael won the belt from Jeff Jarrett in summer of '97. I believe it was at the Clash of the Champions. And then, of course, Curt Hennig, who beat McMichael after Hennig joined the NWO. And looks like Malenko's going to get counted out. Hennig's going to win. And there goes the shot of a Horseman being guaranteed in the final because Curt Hennig has a chance to spoil the party and, incidentally enough, get a rematch against McMichael from 1997. There's a normal match for sure. I was talking about how, Hennig beat McMichael for the title in 1997, and sure enough, we're going to get a match of that caliber in the semifinals. But now we go to another person. We talked about 97 with U.S. Heavyweight Champions, Eddie Guerrero, who started the year as the U.S. Champion. He's coming up next, and he's taking on the THQ developer. Still going here, Jim Keeley. Who had Jim Keeley going this far in this tournament? Well, here he is. Funny, the only one that's actually still left is Alex Wright, and he never held the U.S. title. He was the Cruiserweight champion. Actually, it was, I think, around this time, 29 years ago, that Alex Wright won the Cruiserweight title from Chris Jericho. Also would become the TV champion at the same time. Also, his feud with Ultimo Dragon in the August and September months of 1997. So a lot of 1997 going on. Eddie Guerrero not wasting his time, getting some crutch shots in on Jim Keeley to try to soften him up.
working it out. Backbreaker.
And Guerrero's going on to the round of 8 on the countout. So now it's only down to one non-wrestler remaining, and it's a Nitro Girl. And actually, the only WCW now we have nobody that's not a WCW NWO Horseman member still in. We've got one WCW, we've got one NWO Hollywood, we've got one Horseman. Now Nitro Girls want to make the WCW other WCW rep be that Che. And Alex Wright wants to make it all normal wrestlers in the Final Four. Yeah, this is not going to be a 2-hour video, I can pretty sure to say, especially when it's only 15 matches. So that's one thing that for those who didn't want to have that probably can't sit through a 2 or 3 hour stream, you will get that. When I start doing active streams, I'm going to try to see about maybe sticking it within a time frame. Some of them will be longer than others when I know I have all the time in the world, when I could do my pop-up ones. But as far as my fixed night ones, I'm going to try to stick within a time frame. Figure out how many matches I could book or whatnot.
Right, looking great.
If I can go on earlier, I can go on earlier. Maybe I can stretch it out a little bit more. Alex Wright better watch out. He's real close to the count out. Che may get this one. Che does. So, Nitro Girls stay in. Alex Wright is out. So there's a chance we get a Nitro Girl win the US title. Gonna run to Eddie Guerrero and guarantee they're actually gonna be a WCW wrestler in the final. That's WCW representative in the final. It'll just be a wrestler or it will be a Nitro Girl as we go into the Final Four. As here is the normal match. Steve Mongo McMichael, Kurt Hennig. I think if I did a complete stream, I wouldn't be able to get everything in because I know with counting all the hours of each clip that I've done, it'd probably be a 10-hour show or whatnot. I don't think we'd be able to get through with that. I mean, a lot of time. That's why sometimes these split ones are pretty much, for at least the tournaments like this, it makes sense. As we're getting close to the count out, timer scam looked like for Kurt Hennig gets the win. That was a fast one. Kurt Hennig is going to the final, so NWO has a chance to win it all, and unfortunately we didn't even get a run in anybody to establish for the Horsemen. We'll have to find out what will happen when we get to the TV title tournament. If anyone can, if McMichael can get himself a tag team partner. As we know, NWO is in the final. It'll be against a WCW wrestler, either Eddie Guerrero or the Nitro Girl, Che. I know one thing, that one way or another, I do not think Eddie Guerrero and Curt Hennig have had a one-on-one match. I could be wrong. I could look that up. I think that they were both maybe in tag matches of some sorts. But, I mean, Eddie, by the time, I mean, maybe with like the Filthy Animals were feuding with the West Texas Rednecks, but I don't think that was really a thing at the time because Filthy Animals had moved on to the Insane Clown Posse and Vampiro and Raven, and the West Texas Rednecks were feuding with the Revolution, like in late summer of '99. Because Hennig was no longer an NWO member. So, there's a chance that we could have two former U.S. champions in the finals if Eddie Guerrero can take care of Che. And he is definitely getting it in, but he's got to be careful. He's got the count out not in his favor. If a run-in happens, he might be toast. Better get back in the ring. Yep, she's speaking of the devil. Here comes Ultimo Dragon. Eddie better run. Because that was the one thing that might hurt him. Che's going to win this one. Eddie Guerrero got too cocky and it cost him. So Che's going to the finals thanks to Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo getting a little bit of revenge for doing justice for Kaz Hayashi, losing to Eddie Guerrero. And so just like that, we are at the finals. As it will be Curt Hennig and Che. So we are setting the tone, setting everything up. Can Che pull off the upset and stop Curt Hennig? Or will Curt Hennig say, hey, it's midnight, my turn? Funny thing is, on my challenge seeding, Che is the number 3 seed and Curt Hennig's number 93 because of how the numbers went. Like my number 1 and number 2 were Virgil and Benji. Not that it means anything because challenge is just random. But now, guess what? Doing a 20-second countout is not going to work for you. You're going to go 60. So they have a little bit more time to get out of there. So it's not going to be as fast as the finish. But maybe they'll get back at the ring at like 30 or 20. They won't abuse it to the level that they think they're going to abuse it to. Wishful thinking, and I can say. Or then again, they might stay all the way to 60 seconds and we get a count out win. Then we're going to say, you know what, we have to take out the count outs. If there was a way to do false count anywhere, that'd probably be a better bet. Maybe that could be like a hack that somebody can figure out a way to make false count anywhere. I don't think there's a code out there that do pinfalls on the floor. They're already at 30. Hennig right now might have the edge as far as life is concerned, but not in time. That was the same thing that happened to Eddie Guerrero. He had all the time. Time was not on his side. Hennig does not want to fall in that same trap as they're getting close to the 50. 50 seconds. Better get back in the ring. Hennig better get back in. Henning gets back in. And Shay better get back in the ring too. I don't think she's going to get in there quick enough. Can she? Nope. Still a count out. I think I'm going to have to redo this match again. As much as I would want, I would say, okay, Kurt Hennig wins. It'd kind of be a lame way to do it. I'd rather have it be a time limit if we have to. I think we'll do unlimited. We'll make it fair. So, before I don't want to really give... I mean, I could just give it to Henning and just say, hey, it's for realism, but we'll make it fair. If it works this time, if, you know, Henning wins this time, it'll be fair. Now watch, I'll have Che go all the way and win. Che's going to win this one, be like time limit or something silly like that. And it'll be just like, you know, looking a gift horse right in the mouth, like what Eddie Guerrero did in the semifinals. I mean, this has just barely been an hour long stream, so it doesn't make sense to kind of just be like, let's just end it there. Like, nah, we're gonna let this one be. For the TV title tournament, same thing. For the finals, it's turned out to unlimited.
Pile driver. One. He kicked out. One. He kicked out. One. He kicked out.
Like, I'll do the countouts. That will make, I think, one thing I will say is doing the 60-second countout will be in my matches when I start the sim. Because then it would work as far as, you know, establishing storylines and progressing storylines. But for this being a tournament, it doesn't really work. It was just one of those that hopefully it was just, hey, if they needed it, they needed it, but they still took advantage of it, and it was still more of the same. But still, nonetheless, Henning is having his way on Che. Now, with the no count out, they're going to probably be taking advantage of this more than they can. The other option is do cage match. But, yeah, I'm not going to really set that up. Plus, at least with cage match, you wouldn't allow any run-ins. But here you can. Fire coming in for Che. So another Nitro girl running in for one of her ilk. And so Che's got run-ins from AC Jazz and Fire from Nitro Girls. Females doing the run-ins here. We just saw Fire run-in for Che. Now Miss Elizabeth is here for Kurt Hennig. And neither of these two have gotten back in the ring. That's something I have noticed. They've been just basically staying here on the outside. They haven't gotten back. Sooner or later, they're going to have to get back in the ring to score a pinfall. That was a similar thing we had in the Melly tournament, the finals, where Stevie Ray just completely dominated Uncle Monkey in the semis and dominated Mantis in the finals. And in the case of Uncle Monkey, it went to the time limit, but in Mantis, he just dominated him and then finally scored a pinfall. They were out of the ring for a while. Hopefully these two could make their way back. There we go. Now if Hennig can hit a finisher, that can get himself a 3-point finish, which he has done. He's used the Henningplex, and I do believe he got the 3 count. But he doesn't use it here. But he's still going to win it, and there's your U.S. champion, Kurt Hennig. Decisive victory for Kurt Hennig to win WCW U.S. Heavyweight title. And as you will notice, he's got the U.S. belt with my little graphic of the U.S. title I just put over there. Instead of they have the generic gold, silver, and bronze belts. I just put sprites of the actual belts on the screen. It just looks very, very foggy. I had a better render of it, and I just couldn't find it. I don't know whatever happened to it. I know I saw it on the website. I had it, and I deleted it, and then I can't find it again. I don't know what happened, but there you go. Your U.S. champion is Kurt Hennig. A valid U.S. champion for sure. And so, that's going to conclude, and that'll also eliminate Hennig from the TV title tournament because, well, if you hold a belt already, there's no reason to really have you go all the way, have you compete for any other belts, unless you're a tag champion, but that's really besides the point. And I'm going to be planning on starting the TV title tournament soon enough. Probably with my Tuesday streams, because I got a lot of work to go through that and figure out how that will go. Because that one also will have a time limit and everything. And so don't forget, check this VOD out, and you can. It'll be up on Twitch for a week, then up to YouTube, and I will have the TV title tournament will be coming up next, and hopefully we'll be establishing more tag teams and go from there. Don't forget follow on Twitch, Blue Sky, YouTube, all that, and I will catch you all around. There's your champion, Kurt Hennig, U.S. champion.